So the entire season comes down to one last Xfinity race.
Off we go in the Arizona desert.
It's now or never. It's all or nothing.
Well, this morning, pit reporter Kim Coon is breaking down the high-stakes showdown ahead of the 2025 NASCAR Xfinity Series finale in Phoenix. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So what are your overall impressions and your expectations going into this championship race?
Well, we have four guys who are very deserving of being in the championship hunt. We've got reigning champion Justin Allgaier, who's going for his second straight. And then we have three other guys who are making their first championship four appearance. It has been such an exciting season. And, you know, when it comes down to this race, four guys head to head, you have to expect the unexpected because anything can happen. We've seen this race go into double overtime. And so the dramatics are high at Phoenix.
It's not like the World Series where it's like 18 innings, though.
No, not quite, but.
All right, well, Connor Zilisch, he has been the story of the Xfinity Series this year with 10 wins under his belt. So what are the keys to his success, though, in order to be crowned the champion?
Yeah, he definitely would be deserving if he's able to win it. And, you know, I think as long as he shows up like he's shown up for the last 20 weeks, he can win the championship. It's interesting just talking with his team and his crew chief, Marty Lindley, this past week. They've remarked how he's a different driver than he was at the beginning of the year. You know, he's a rookie. So at the beginning of the season, he was making a lot of mistakes. He was kind of learning how to put full races together. But then he went on that tear of 18 straight top fives. You mentioned it, 10 wins. And so I think as long as he comes in and that is the Connor that shows up, he can certainly win this championship.
Well, reigning Xfinity Series champion Justin Allgaier, he's defending his title. What does he need to do to win again?
You know, I think as long as he comes in with the attitude he's had kind of all year and very much all this week, which is calm, cool, collected, I think he could make it two in a row. He'll be the first to tell you that he didn't want to admit how nervous he was, you know, in years past, especially last year. And winning that first championship was such a relief. And so he's playing with house money. Like, yes, 2 championships would be great, but he's already won 1. So I think he has a very different perspective than the other 3. And I think he's a lot more laid back, which can do you a lot of favors when you're in the intensity of the championship race.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a lot more pressure. But, I mean, I guess that comes with experience, right, to be relaxed.
Yes.
You know, this race season that we actually spoke with Justin and we spoke with Connor, how do their styles on the track differ, or are they similar?
I think there's ways that they're similar, but there's ways that they're different. You know, I think Justin is such a veteran. He's been around for so long that very little surprises him. And then Connor, it's his rookie season. And yes, he is so talented and so successful, but he is still learning what it means to be a full-time driver. You know, he'll make the jump to the Cup Series next year. And so I think he's kind of filling his notebook with all of the things that you don't necessarily know when you're a rookie. Whereas Justin, like, he's been around the block. He knows kind of the things to expect. And so he kind of has that in his arsenal.
Well, Kim, you know, we're seeing you in your setting there. It looks relaxing, but you have been on site at every track this season for all 33 races, so you're a very busy lady. I mean, what goes into the weekly preparation to be a pit reporter and cover a series like the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, it's definitely been a grind, and the preparation starts on a Monday, even though the races usually aren't until Saturday. And it's about, you know, I'll rewatch the races from last year to kind of prepare to know what to expect. I'll read all the storylines. You know, once I get to the track, I'll talk with teams and drivers. The best metaphor I have is it's like studying for a test, and you know the subject matter, but you don't know the questions that are going to be asked. So you just have to be prepared for anything and everything.
Just curious, though, because, you know, sometimes there is reporter involvement. Have you ever gotten behind the wheel of one of those cars?
I have not. I've done a ride along where you're in the passenger seat, which actually I think is scarier because you're not in control and you're actually closer to the wall because, you know, they run so close to the outside wall. I think it's scarier to be in the passenger seat, but I have not driven a car, but I've done a ride along.
Yeah, it really gives you a perspective, right, of how tough their job is.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. I think people take for granted what these drivers do. And if you've ever been out to a racetrack, like the banking is insane at a lot of these racetracks. Yeah. It's not just like driving, you know, down the interstate. It's very much a skilled sport.
Craig, you could do that.
No. First of all, I'd never be able to, you know, unclench my hands from whatever I'm holding. All right, Kim, thank you so much. We are looking forward to finding out who is this year's champion. So thanks for joining us this morning. And, of course, it's all going down right here on Pix 11, home of the CW, this Saturday at 6:30 p.m.